Joe, honey.
Recording in progress.
You don't have to do the blurb anymore.
I don't have, huh? No blurb? What do I do for 2 minutes?
Or you can say whether it's a hybrid meeting or in person. That's what the book says.
We are hybrid though, right? Okay. Okay.
Don't do the blurb.
That's right. I got used to doing that. Welcome, everybody, to the regularly stated meeting of the Yarmouth Conservation Commission. This is the commission meeting for Thursday, April 3rd, 2025. And just to let you know, this is a hybrid meeting. We have both in-person and Zoom attendance. Our first order of business is a continued notice of intent for SE 83-2461, Environmental Consulting and Restoration LLC for Brian and Patricia Clifford, 36 Bent Bluffs Lane, proposed addition within the buffer zone to bordering vegetated wetland.
You?
You have it.
Yeah.
It's just a little minor change. I don't think you'll notice it.
Brad?
Oh, thank you.
Okay.
Good evening, members of the commission. Brad Holmes with Environmental Consulting Restoration, here for the continued notice of intent for 36 Bent Bluff. Patty and Brian Clifford are on the line as well. At some point, they'd like to address the commission. But we have revised the proposal to address the comments and concerns from the commission's past meeting, which picked up the fact that there was activities in the buffer zone that were not permitted. So we're remedying that with the removal of the hot tub that was in the inner buffer zone and a patio that was in the inner buffer zone. So we're moving the patio and relocating a new patio outside of the 50-foot buffer in that area towards the outer buffer zone, out towards 100-foot, about 200 square feet of a pervious patio. And then we're proposing a 10 by 10 pad for the hot tubs that will be moved out of the 50-foot buffer zone and put at that south area below the proposed addition. And we're also beefed up the mitigation planting area so that we revegetate the 50-foot buffer zone where there is opportunity. There's, you can see there's the tree line. There's some area disturbed within the 50-foot buffer zone that can be revegetated, and we're proposing to extend beyond that into that area just outside the 50-foot in the north side of the page. So we're proposing 1,350 square feet of mitigation planting area. I did get a chance to coordinate with Brittany and address a couple of the comments she had was to move the low bush blueberry shrubs that were proposed under the deck, just move them closer to the edge and increase the planting so that the spacing is tighter, which we've done, and we've added that plant list to the plan. So what we've been able to do since the last meeting is address the patio and the hot tub to remove those, revegetate that area, and relocate anything that was constructed that wouldn't be permittable outside the 50-foot buffer. There is also a hot tub dry well proposed so that any discharge from water from the hot tub would go into the proposed dry well. There wouldn't be any discharge down the slope to add to the wetland system. With that, I'll bring it back to the commission.
Okay, thanks, Brad. Questions from the commission? Hey, Brittany, are you all set?
Yeah, I appreciate your attention to detail on this one. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody in the audience have any comments or questions on this one? Is there anybody on Zoom?
Question, I'm so
Yes.
sorry. Yeah. You speak in
Oh,
the,
wait, Ellie, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
You can't.
Can't
You can
now.
ask because you weren't part of the quorum. Sorry about that. I should have mentioned that before.
Oh, okay.
I thought only if she's in support she can speak. If she's against it, she can't.
I'm sorry.
On the
I'm
commission
only
yet.
kidding. That's it.
Yeah.
That's a joke.
Did anybody in Zoom? No. Unless there's any further discussion among the board, would somebody like to make a motion to approve the project with special conditions?
So moved.
Third, second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries unanimously.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thanks, Brad.
Thank you.
Just irrigation. I didn't know if it impacted anything, the irrigation. So,
Oh, temporary. Yeah, that's a.
No. No, no.
Right, got it.
There you go.
All right, next order of business is a new notice of intent for SE 83-2470 William Hearn, 104 River Street. This is proposed replacement and an elevation of a seawall, fill, and tree removal within the riverfront area, coastal bank, velocity flood zone, and buffer zone to a coastal bank.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman. Good evening, members. For the record, my name is Kieran Healy. I'm a land surveyor with the BSC Group, and with me tonight is Billy Hearn, the owner of the property. As you mentioned, we're looking to replace the existing wooden wall that is out there and raise it approximately 2 feet from where it is today. We have been in front of this board to get a pier permitted on this property, which is still a valid license, and we're in the midst of Chapter 91 permitting on that right now. This wall will also have to go to Chapter 91 for re-permitting. What we're looking to do is to remove the wall and excavate to put in what we call dead men, which are just basically wooden posts under the ground that serve as an anchor system so that the wall is stable. And once that is complete, we will backfill and we will replace some stone against the wall. We have a 3-foot wide gravel buffer strip, and then we will plant the area behind the buffer strip with a variety of plants as listed in the planting palette. We are looking to remove some trees on the north side that we're going to replace with trees in kind, and we're going to remove some trees on the south side that we're going to replace with bushes. We're proposing tree bushes for every tree in that area. If I can answer any details on the trees if you need to. We had seen the comments from DEP where they talked about salt marsh above the wall. I went out there myself today, and even though I'm not a plant specialist, I couldn't see any indication of salt marsh above the seawall, which would be approximately 3 feet above the high tide line. So I don't know if Brittany, if you've been out there to check on that, but as I say, I did not see any salt marsh grasses above the existing wall. We had also submitted for you can see that there was a deck out there on the site. That deck has been there since 1956 approximately. We have old photographs from when it was originally put in. And it has been there in that position. It shows up on the old plans and old permits. We had requested putting in a roof on this, but I think that it's something that the Conservation Commission may have a problem with, so we talked about it again. And the reason we were looking to put in a roof is that Mr. Hahn's mother comes out. She's 87. She likes to sit on that spot, and the sun is just too much. So we were going to request that we remove the idea of a fixed roof, but that the Commission might allow us put in a canvas canopy in the summertime that would be removed in the wintertime. So I think it would do what we need to do, which is basically just give some bit of shade that's out there. And other than that, I'd be glad to answer any questions that you may have.
Okay, thank you, Karen. Questions from the board? Pat?
just on your path, you had noted you were going to put a shell path. Wonder if you could just consider just leaving it natural path instead of the shells? Just,
Sure. Yeah, no problem.
Can we maintain 4 feet wide natural path?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, just on the dead men, I was out there, those, it looks like in the drawing, those are those metal rods that go, that hold
They
the wall
they
down?
can either be metal rods, basically you put in a sleeper about 20 feet back, landscape tie 20 feet back that's buried about 4 feet, and then you connect it. It can be metal rods or it can be wood as well, but most likely metal rods.
Is it, it seemed like pretty far back from the wall, so is there a requirement as far as the structural integrity of the wall to have that far back? They're gonna be covered anyway, right? So-
They are going to be covered. We generally try and keep them at 15 to 20 feet back.
Oh, okay.
I mean, you could put it less than that, but you'd probably put in more ties if you had it less than that. So this is kind of a spaced out evenly along there.
Yeah, okay. All right, thanks.
Hi, speaking of the the 5 trees to be removed, could you speak to how they will be removed and how you're protecting any potential impact at those locations because of the removal?
Actually, the removal is a result pretty much of the dead men having to be excavated in that area.
Correct.
So we're not going to protect them at all. We're actually going to dig everything up in that area, which is the reason the trees are coming out. And then we're going to plant the trees a little bit, as I said, to the west of the dead men. So they'll be in the same general location. They'll just be a little bit further back from the ocean, or from the river in that location.
So you're going to excavate for the dead men and at the same time remove the trees?
Yes. Oh, yeah. It'll be all one machine that comes in. And the bigger machines, what they do is they just pull the tree over and they pull the stump right out of there as well. So there's no major excavation for the tree. It's more of just to pull it down slowly and take it out.
That's what I was getting at. Okay, thank you.
But just to clarify, the dead men can't go in without a lot of excavation. That has to happen. That's just the only way that these things can work.
Is there any thought about using, the next door neighbors used a helical?
Helical
Oh,
anchors?
and they didn't seem to be as aggressively disturbing.
There were pros and cons to the helical anchors. I've used them in the past myself. In this particular location, we went with the wood and the iron pilings. That thing is, even though there's excavation, within a few days, it's all backfilled, it's all stable, and the wall is outside it as well. So it's not like there's going to be any erosion from the excavation. You know, it'd be different if it was a slope down to the water. But the first thing that'll happen here will be the vertical wall will be constructed, and then the excavation will be behind it. So there's not going to be runoff of mud or anything like that with the excavation down into the river. So it will be, if that's the reason you're questioning it, then it will be stable and there won't be any runoff into the river.
Question.
Just to carry that through, though, but the point behind, the reason you're excavating is so you can put the dead men in, but if you could use a helical structure instead, then you wouldn't have to excavate, is that correct?
Correct. One of the reasons that we didn't go with the helicals is that the ground at the base of the wall is pretty high. So as a result, to get in a barge or something like that, it would bottom out during construction. And we didn't want that to happen. So we went, that was one of the reasons that we went with the wood and the pilings, is so that we'd be able to get the job done, because you can see it, mean low water is actually below the ground adjacent to the wall is above the low water. So as a result, any barge would bottom out on the sand in front of the wall.
If you worked 2 hours on either side of high tide, would a barge be able to not ground?
Yes, theoretically yes, but you're reducing the amount of time that somebody can do the job, and
Yeah.
you know.
Yes,
then you
but
have
we
to-
routinely put that stipulation in, so we prevent barges from doing it. We do that all the time with docks, right?
Yeah, I just haven't had one where the barge was restricted, or a barge was required in front of this board, so I'm not aware of what you normally do.
I mean, I'd like some, I don't know, I'd hope that you might be able to reconsider that, but, you know, if you can't, and you're insist on going through with the dead men, then I don't necessarily, I'd like to see some trees getting put back into the landscape rather than just doing shrubs, because it's just not something that, to remove 7 trees and replace with 21 shrubs, I don't know that that's what I would consider an uneven trade.
I think the most important part, I mean, is that you're proposing to excavate at least how far from the wall? This is like 15 feet, and you said the length of the dead men has to be excavated, and they're 15 to 20 feet.
Yes.
That's part of the no disturb zone. So if there is an option to use the helicals where we don't have to disturb the no disturb zone except for the fill for the edge of the wall that we're raising, that would be preferred.
I mean, I can see that point, but the only thing I'll say is that we can't replace the we can't replace the wooden wall without excavating all of the wooden wall. So we will have to excavate and remove all of that with machinery from the upland. We would not replace that wall from a barge. You just couldn't, you wouldn't carry in all that equipment on a barge to when you got the upland right there and the bank is stable. So like it all has to be removed by hand and by machine. There's just no way around that.
But how far, so like if you need to excavate, all the trees are at least 7-ish feet or more away from the wall, and at least some of them would be able to be saved. Is that correct? Or how far do you think you'd need to excavate if you're not putting in the dead men?
Somewhere between 7 and 10 feet, maybe a little bit less. I don't know.
Okay.
Ellie?
What I don't see on what I have in front of me, or in the documents, is the transition, if you will, between the existing wall, as you call it, and the new bulkhead, and if there's any exposure in infiltration or what have you. You don't show any detail of that.
Well, we're proposing to remove the entire wall that's there.
But I mean, on the adjacent property where there is one, I mean, it doesn't seem like there will be continuity. It kind of looks chopped up, if you will. And I just want to make sure that you've addressed where it transitions into the existing, so that you have continuous protection against sea level rise, et cetera, et cetera.
I think our wall is going to be about approximately half a foot to a foot higher than the adjacent ones. One of the reasons for that is as these walls get replaced, they always seem to be going a little bit higher because the water's getting higher. So the reason, if you were out there, one of the reasons we're doing this is that the current tide levels are coming over the top, and even out there today I could see the not salt marsh, but the debris, the rack, being floated up and over the top of the wall. So as a result, we're building this up to eliminate that water coming over the top of the wall.
And it will flow then, water flows to where it can, so it will flow to the adjacent lower properties. It just seems unfortunate. You're doing a good thing, raising the wall to where it should be, but, these transitions may be there for a while. And I don't know the solution, but I just, want to make sure that.
If we could just have a look at that one photograph right there, you can see that Mr. Helm's wall is completely covered in that the water's come up right over the top of it. And then that's the neighbour's wall above us to the north. Oh, actually, that's looking south.
South, yeah.
So that wall is already higher than our wall. So
Okay, so she's higher.
she's higher right now, yes.
They're both higher.
Both sides. So they've already done their work to get it higher. We're the lowest one, and that's why we've got the water coming over the top,
Okay.
So,
which is causing the erosion behind it.
so in 20 years, it'll be topping it again?
At the current rate of the water level rising, it is definitely a concern, yes.
There's no master plan.
Anybody else? Paul?
Yeah, I just have, just so I understand, I know that you're planning tree removal. and I see the drawing with the dead men and so on and so forth. And so you have to remove the trees because of the excavation for the dead men, is that correct?
Correct, yes.
Yeah.
Some of them for the dead men and some of them because they're just so close to the wall.
Yeah, because the trees are so close to the wall?
Yeah, there's two on the north that are right at about
Oh, I
this.
see, yeah.
I mean, it may be possible to save those, but we didn't want to take the chance, so we said we were going to replace trees. We're
Yeah.
taking out 5 up there, and we're going to replace the 5 up there.
Okay, all right. So the removing the trees, again, is all about the construction you have to do with the wall and the dead men and so on and so forth. And you're proposing 21 shrubs, you couldn't put in maybe trees farther back from the wall? Or I mean, would it make a difference in terms of trees or shrubs as far as the, I don't know, ecological integrity of that area?
It's a funny thing, but a shrub will actually grow quicker and establish a root system quicker than
yeah.
a tree will. So it might actually be when you put it like that, it's more of a positive to put in shrubs.
Okay.
You know?
Well, you know how much we like trees, though.
Yes, that's why I wasn't saying that. I wasn't going there till you brought it up, but.
Yeah.
But
Okay, all right, I understand, thank you.
Okay, anybody else? Brittany, anything else?
Yeah, the only other thing I had is that I really want to see the helical anchors. But other than that, if we're excavating all of the area up to the end of the dead men, that whole area should be replanted, not just the 13 feet minus 3 plus for the gravel. So we don't have any bare area. It should all be covered, even if you're going to just do ground covers. for
and
that area.
we're perfectly fine with putting ground cover.
Yeah, so I just want to see the whole area that's being excavated, which is ideally going out to the end of these dead men, right?
Yep.
To be planted with something.
Yeah, we don't have a problem putting ground cover to cover all of the dead man area. This is not by any means meant to be a lawn in any fashion.
Do you need to see a revised plan for that?
I'd like to, yes.
I mean, are you okay with the approving it on its own, just with the revised plan, or do you want us to take a look at it again?
If the only thing we're changing is the number of trees and ground covers, I'm fine with approving that.
And also the pathway.
And no roof.
No roof.
Take out the shell, and we've got to take out the roof.
Still good with it, or do you?
Helicals, but
They're all,
She
they're
just
all minor
approved the whole
things. So,
project there, Brittany, and we won't have to worry about it. It's like just got
Yep. They're all minor things, so we can definitely take care of those.
I mean, I've heard that helicals are also a cheaper way. Are they not more cost effective than putting the dead men in, since you're not doing all the excavation? I'm not an engineer, and I understand there are just two options that engineers and contractors prefer to use. I just don't see the big downsides of the helicals for why you don't want to use them.
They're cheaper to purchase,
Okay,
but they're more expensive to install.
because you have to use a barge.
So it's a wash.
I don't know the numbers. I really don't.
Would it be possible just to, I mean, you're basically taking the trees out on both ends, and because of the dead men that you're putting in there, would it be possible to just perhaps just use the helicals for those where then you wouldn't, oh, then you're still, never mind, you're still, sorry about that.
Now, the site is pretty forested, so, I mean,
What?
there were quite an amount of trees on the site. I realize we're taking out trees, but when you go back, but, you know, if the commission is really concerned about the trees being removed and only replaced with shrubs, we can replace some of those trees somewhere else so they're not on the dead men and still have the same amount of trees left when we finish the project as there is today. just move them to a different location. So it's not so much that we're looking to get rid of trees and only plant shrubs. It was just that we don't want to plant trees where the dead men are, so we can, if the commission is okay with us putting the same number of trees, the 5 on the north side and the 7 on the south side back on the plan, so we add 12 trees back when we're done, then we're okay with that.
And so there's a problem with planting trees above the dead men as well?
Yes, because
You're saying that because of, you just don't want to have to be in this situation again. Is that the idea?
that's part of it, yes.
And that's the
As
reach-
Jack mentioned,
reach-
if we come back in 20 years, we don't want to say we want to move the trees again.
Okay.
Can I go one more time? Sorry. I know I'm new and I'm a pain in the butt here. Frankly, it seems like it's overkill, and I'm concerned that in plan view, where you have the hatched area, it's gonna be a mess. You're gonna excavate what you need to excavate to get those in, where you're doing the math there and you're saying, they're 20-foot rods, but your plan view of the impact doesn't really reflect that. And so consequently, you're disturbing a lot of land that would be unnecessary if you did an alternate tieback system. It just seems like it's overkill, and I'm leaning a little bit towards my engineering background, but I mean, you're not. Why would you have to do such overkill when the adjacent properties are addressing the same issue and they're withstanding, the risk?
Well, if I could,
And the other thing, if you're going to do this, then show accurately in plan view the impact area, because you do have trees to I don't think the trees will come down with the excavation of the dead man. It's going to be sort of an excavation and then get the dead man in it. And I just don't think that the plan view, the hatched area, reflects what will be impacted by this.
well, the hatched area is what we had proposed for mitigation, not so much the impact area.
Yeah.
So now that we've agreed to put in a ground cover over all of the dead men, then, when I submit a plan to Brittany, I can include additional plantings along the back side of those dead men. And when we put in the dead men, what happens is that they dig out a trench for the post that goes parallel to the water, and they set that down deep, and then they just excavate a trench to the water. So they don't dig up the entire 100 feet long and strip it all down. So they put one parallel to the water, and then they run the one perpendicular to the water.
Yeah.
So not every inch of this entire site is going to be excavated in this area.
And then you have the trees, yeah.
Yeah, I think, I see exactly what you're saying. I think you definitely need to improve the planting area, increase it. If this is the only way you gotta go, then that would be the least that I would say would be appropriate then.
Yeah, and as I said, we're perfectly fine with adding ground cover, that entire, 12 feet back from where I stopped, that hatch area, if you will, which will cover all of the dead men very easily. Sometimes my plans have so many lines that they confuse people, so that's why we put the sub-sketch on the left, just to show how the dead men would look.
Just from an alternatives analysis perspective, I don't know why we wouldn't require the lowest impact alternative if one exists.
Well, this is riverfront, so we should be doing that. That's another good point.
Can we make that motion?
We could ask that they do that.
Could you repeat that for this end of the table, please?
So in the riverfront area, an alternatives analysis is required, which they've provided, but one of the options wasn't to use helical anchors, which is a lower impact option that does currently exist to complete the same goal. So that is something that the board can consider requiring, since it is a lower impact option.
I think that would make sense. Jack?
What's the lifetime of the wood versus the helical?
I mean, the helical are metal of some sort. I don't believe you can buy them stainless steel, but I'm not going to tell you they might last 50 years. I'm not going to tell you.
And the
any
wood would be,
The wood and the dead men in they can last 50 years as well. So as far as time frame, I wouldn't expect a huge amount of difference.
With few exceptions, everybody in this room will be dead before they,
I plan on living to 110, so I'll be here.
except for Kieran.
But just one other thing on the helical. When we drive the helical in the areas of the trees, we're going to potentially kill the root system of those trees. And we have no choice but to put in some dead men in those general areas. And we're not opposed to the helical paths, just so you know, we don't have an opposition to that. But there are negatives as well with them, in that some of them will be going right through the root system. Because you don't put them down like that, you put them, almost horizontal, just at a small angle, going backwards to get the best in the same angle that you have right there on the screen.
But I would also say that you would have a better chance of the tree. I guarantee if you put dead men in the tree, the trees are gonna be dead. If you use the helicals, then there's a good chance that they may survive. So that would be my. But I think you should probably put all of that into as another alternative under the alternatives analysis of the project. So, and just put it all down so that everybody can consider it the same information all at once. So instead of asking about it piecemeal, I think that's a better way to do it. Or we can vote.
Oh, no, I'm not looking for a negative vote by any means. I'm just trying to understand exactly what you're looking for. Are you looking for me to show an alternative analysis? Or are you looking for me to come back with a helical pile plan?
I think the helical pile would certainly be something I think the board would like you to consider. And if you are not going to consider, or if you're not going to do that, then we would need to see at least a written analysis of why you can't do it, or you won't do it. That seems fair enough.
Let me just be a little bit more simple, I guess. That system was designed for, I think, applications like this, where you have a very precarious area, and then you can be selective where you put them, instead of this, open excavation for the dead men. So I would highly recommend that we look at that as an alternate scheme, and therefore it would be another, would be looking at another plan with that alternate, and then, I mean, it will involve a different area of mitigation and less trees to be removed. It's a whole different plan, but in the interest of impact to the land, and I think it's something that we should look at as a complete alternate, and what impact it has as far as mitigation.
Yeah, I mean, you wouldn't have to generate the plan, but you would certainly you need to generate a proper alternatives analysis, add it to one of your, as one of your alternatives. I think that's what the board is asking.
Unless you just want to propose it. Right?
Or what?
Unless that's something you just want to go with as in a revised plan, to use the helicals.
Yeah, I mean, if you wanted to switch over to the helical and put it in as that is your plan of record, that would be that's another alternative. But,
Ed,
Jack,
what kind of trees, how tall, what's the diameter?
It's on the bottom left.
Okay, thanks.
The biggest one is a 12-inch oak. That one.
While you're all, could I ask another question, please?
yeah.
Yeah, I'm listening to this, and, actually, the plan looks fairly reasonable to me, but I don't know enough about helicals. So could you, in maybe 2 sentences, tell me what the difference between a helical and and the dead men happen to be?
I guess I'd describe it as you're driving a screw into the ground, so you're not displacing all the ground around it to get at it. You're just going in as a
Okay.
screw, and it's 1.5 feet in diameter. It's not small by any means.
It's big,
But
yeah.
basically, it's a screw that just goes right into the ground.
Ever hit anything like a big rock and you can't get it through?
If you do hit a big rock, it's not going through.
Stops.
It stops.
Yeah.
I'm not saying there's not going to be any on this site, but
Sand.
if you.
But
do
it would
hit one-
be, in the ground on the same side as the dead men, right? Or no?
Correct, yeah, it's driven from the ocean, and it's driven
So
perpendicular.
you take the wall down and you put those things in?
Correct. Yeah, because all that's left of them is, there's kind of a 3-inch diameter bar in the middle.
Yeah.
And then you have the wings, if you will, of the screw.
Yeah.
Sticking, coming out, but there's a 3-inch diameter that goes down the middle. And at the end of the 3-inch diameter that would be where it's connected, first of all, how it's driven, and then second of all, how the wall is connected to it.
I see.
So it would be inside the wall is where you would put it.
Okay, I don't, in some ways, that sounds more disruptive than the dead men, because the dead men, it seems to me, you excavate along the wall, you put them in, you cover it up.
No,
No, it's not along the wall.
What?
it's both along the wall.
Oh, I know, it goes out
And-
farther. I was out there. I know where the stakes are. But you excavate out that area, you put the dead men in, and then you refill it, right?
Yeah, so with these, you only have to excavate near the wall to take the old wall out, and they just drill through the ground.
Yeah, okay. All right. Well, thank you, thank you.
One last,
Sure.
are you familiar enough, or the engineers are familiar enough with the soils and things, where they're going to have to go in there for helical to test and be sure that it's going far enough, big enough?
We haven't done soil testing on this side, but there was soil testing done on the other side of 103, which is directly across the road, owned by Mr. Hunn as well. And the soils there were typical medium sand, sea layer, nothing unusual in it. These would just be designed to have I can't think of the word, a wave or something like that it's called, on that helical pile. Actually, it was written up there now.
This
There
one.
would be, the diameter of it needs to be wide enough so that there's no pullback. That's
Right.
how those are designed. And you can't put in something small because it's not going to have enough.
You're right.
So,
But there's a lot of variable in that, based on the soil, or not?
but yeah, this would be designed for sandy soil. This
Yeah.
wouldn't be designed for obviously anything else, but this would be designed
But
for sandy
also-
soil.
Well, never mind.
Anything else? Anything else? Anybody in the audience have any comments, questions on this? Anybody on Zoom? Do you want to take some time, or is your mind made up?
I think we're going to look for continuance, go back and see what we can do. And the name of those, Paul, are flights. That's what on the outside of the helical screw, they're called flights.
Thank you.
So April 17 or May 1st.
If we could get on for April 17th, and then if by chance we're not ready, I will just ask for continuance, but we'll plan to be ready because we want to get both the pier and the wall going at the same time.
We'll aim for the 17th.
Thank you very much for your time.
All those in, sorry, was there a motion to continue this to April 17th?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Hey.
Opposed? Carries unanimous. See you. Thank you, Karen. Next order of business is another notice of intent for SE 83-2472, Matt Snope, 50 Powers Lane, proposed elevation of foundation and addition with patio and retaining wall within land subject to coastal storm flowage and buffer zone to a coastal dune.
Good evening. Matt Lehman, engineer with Strong Tree Engineering, representing the homeowner, the Sang family, and the architect 88 West, which I believe, yeah, there's Matthew Snope on the Zoom there. So this project primarily is to raise the existing building, which will be raised with block. So the existing foundation will remain and the height will be elevated with masonry block. A small addition on the north side, which you see the right plan is the proposed, left is existing. On the top of the right one, it shows new addition. Next will be raising of the grade around the front yard area and installation of a small retaining wall on 2 sides of the property. And finally, proposing an access ramp on the west side of the building. And with that, pervious pavers that help the transition between the driveway and the ramp and stairs, and also don't necessitate a vent covering up the existing leach field. The existing septic system will remain. The 0 to 50 buffer to the dune is not, there's no work being proposed inside of that. Approximately 3,000 square feet of work is being proposed in the 50 to 100 foot buffer. 2 storm chambers are being proposed to take roof runoff from the building. There is some vegetation noted, if you look on the existing plan, sort of all around the north and east side of the property. And then on the north side of Powers Lane along the southern property line. And sort of at the corner of the 2 roads, there's a little beach grass called out there. So we don't intend on disturbing any of the vegetation, but if any is disturbed, it will be replicated. And regardless of whether it's disturbed or not, we are proposing that mitigation planting in the that sort of little island there. I think that pretty much covers it. Oh, the entire area is in the the flood zone AE, base flood elevation 11. Land subject to coastal storm flowage. I think that's it, and I'll turn it over to the board if you have questions, please.
Okay, thank you. Questions from the board? Nobody?
I'll ask you a question. Did you outline somewhere that I may have missed what plants you're planning to plant with the mitigation?
It's not included on the plan. We didn't provide a detailed planting plan. It is beach grass, and that's just what we proposed offhand, but whatever you'd like, we can put and add to the plan if you require.
We will just need some sort of detail about the plantings.
The specific species? Okay.
I just have a technical question maybe that you might be able to help me with, because on the property information, it says that the soil is designated as, the Hooks and Dune Land Complex, which is sand dune. And then the next, the sentence above that says the site is located within 100 feet of a coastal dune. So I'm just a little confused on, and I didn't get to the site, I wasn't able to access it. Are we in dunes? I mean, the soil designation is sand dunes, and
So the actual dune is off the view to the southwest of the property across the street.
yeah,
And then shown is the 50-foot buffer to dune
yeah.
and the 100-foot buffer. So no work is being proposed in a dune resource.
But yet the soil,
That's from the USGS NRCS web survey. It's GIS. It's not precise, not based on field information.
oh,
Sort of just a general reference to the soil type in terms of textural class.
So it's not sand, is what you're saying?
It is
is
sandy,
It is sand.
but that's not what makes a dune,
Yeah.
according to the statute.
Yeah.
Ellie, I pulled up the aerial. This neighborhood is right next to the beach, and at some point, this was dune, but the dune end. This is the dune for the resource area, and this is the lot. So it is right across the street from the mapped dune and the resource area delineated.
Yeah. Okay.
But this is now just part of their lawn across the street from them.
Yeah.
But while we're talking about the comments, it does say right underneath that no wetland resource areas are on site, and I would request a revised plan removing that comment since there is a coastal dune across the street. Which
No
is,
problem.
I just don't want confusion.
No,
or any-
the resource, the buffer is a resource. That's true. I will amend that.
But I don't have any issues with the proposed project.
Anybody else? Anybody in the audience on this one? Somebody has their hand raised. Can anybody read who that is?
It's an iPad number.
iPad.
We lost it.
Hello?
Hi, new iPad. Could you please state your name for the record?
Stephen Cohen. 52.
Do you have a comment?
Yes, I live next door to 50 Powers Lane, and I'm just curious, is the intent of the owner to continue to use this as rental property or as her personal residence?
I'm not sure. Sorry.
I know this may not be the forum for it, but
No, it's not the forum for this, okay? You have to ask, if you have comments as it relates to the Wetlands Protection Act or the Town of Yarmouth Wetlands Bylaw, that would be appropriate, but zoning and use and occupancy is not in our purview.
okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
I don't know if I can be heard via Zoom. Oops,
Oh.
there's my profile picture. I'm the architect, Matthew, and I'd be happy to speak in, kind of give a little more explanation. Also to Stephen, I'd be happy to speak with you outside of this meeting about anything you want to know about the project. But I appreciate everybody's time to listen to our proposal. And I think the only thing I wanted to add to what Matthew said is just kind of the context and why we're doing this. The family is interested in renovating the property, and if we're renovating more than 50% of the value, of course, we want to include flood mitigation and bring it up to the current flood levels plus 1 foot of freeboard elevation. The owner of the property, Melanie Sang, she is older. It's difficult to access the property with a lot of steps. And so the reason for proposing fill in the front yard is really to help mitigate the access for the owner. So in addition to some fill in the front yard to give a more gradual transition to the entry, we're also, as Matt explained, proposing an accessible ramp on the west side of the property. So, and that is really the only additional coverage on the site is adding this access ramp in addition to raising it up to current flood levels. So happy to answer any other questions, but thank you all for your time.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else on Zoom?
Too many cars will be parked on the street.
Anybody else on Zoom? Last chance. Right, unless there's any further discussion among the board, would somebody like to make a motion to approve the project with special conditions? No, and that's, I'm sorry, with a revised plan, what is the, referencing the resource area on the property.
And detailed plant species for the mitigation area. She asked for that. Yeah.
I'm sorry, you good?
The proposed planting plan.
And just like.
Oh, and the proposed, I'm sorry, okay. Do I have a motion to that effect?
I do.
I'll
Is there a
second.
second? Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried unanimously.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Next order of business is another new notice of intent for SE 83-2468. Peter Fairbanks, 41 Uncle Roberts Road, proposed replacement of existing 2-foot wide wooden walkway with a 3.5-foot wide seasonal mova mat and construction of stairs and elevated deck within a coastal dune and its buffer and the velocity flood zone.
Good evening, I'm Paul Shea with Independent Environmental Consultants, here with Asa Mintz, who's the project engineer. We're both working for Peter Fairbanks. This application before you is a notice of intent. Currently, there is an old wooden walkway that leads from his patio down to the coastal beach in Nantucket Sound. And it's basically 2 wooden planks that is sort of held together by wooden ties underneath it. And it's in disrepair, and sections of it are actually bending up, and Mr. Fairbanks wants to get a safer way to get down to the beach. So what he'd like to do is, he's proposing to use a Moby mat, which is a removable mat system. It's 3.25 feet wide, and it will extend from where his existing patio is in the backyard of the property. And it extends a little bit of work in the 100-foot buffer zone. There is work, the Moby mat will be in the 50-foot buffer zone, and then it enters into the coastal dune, which takes it down eventually to a place where there was a path before leading right through an elevated portion of the dune, and we want to revegetate that area, and the pathway is going to bend to the right a little bit, and there will be an elevated boardwalk system, narrow. It's 3 feet wide, and there's going to be a small sitting area for 2 people within it, and there's a section of removable stair leading up to it, and then there's another section on the other end leading down to the coastal beach. The Moby mat can be taken in, so it's not there in the winter season. We are proposing to replant with American beach grass and bearberry. Again, we'd start with the open cut right through the dune to replant that area and stabilize the sand. And then there's some other open pockets of sand along within the coastal dune area that we could plant in, and even plant adjacent to where the Moby mat is. So there's plenty of opportunities to do that here, and this project was before you there's an existing notice of intent and order of conditions out for when he built the house. He rebuilt a new house and the patio in the backyard, and I think we may be talking about that a little later on in your hearing in terms of a partial certificate of compliance. With this project, DEP has issued a file number with no comments, file number 83-2468. We did file with Natural Heritage. We made a MESA filing with Natural Heritage, and that file number is 25-19314. Natural Heritage issued a letter on March 18th of 2025, basically giving an approval for the project, and it gave a list of conditions in terms of, the construction of where we want to work in the dune and the time of year and so forth. In their letter, the species that they mentioned, protected species, is piping plover, and so no big surprise there. And we can certainly do this project and work around the constraints with the endangered species. Happy to answer any questions, and so either I can answer them or, the project engineer.
Paul, questions from the board? Ellie?
I do just want to acknowledge your use of the helical soil anchors, and I appreciate that. Using those.
Okay, thank you.
The purpose of those is just primarily to prevent any flotation, where this is down right along the shoreline, sort of a belt and suspenders kind of approach,
Yeah, I mean, they have a 3-ton pull-out cap, so yeah, they're pretty sturdy, so. And the stainless steel and all. I didn't see those birds, so I was curious on what they look like. Saw deer.
Anybody else?
Yeah, just one thing. Yeah, I was out there. It's an amazing piece of property.
Beautiful place.
I didn't understand there to be any problem with a Moby map because it could be taken in and so on and so forth. Certainly would be preferable to what's there now, it seems.
Yes.
We did notice that, and I think it would be addressed in a little while, the Vista pruning that was done without permit. So maybe I don't know if this would be the appropriate time to talk about it, but I'll leave that up to Brittany.
I actually just found out about that before the meeting tonight. I came in to see Brittany, and she mentioned it, so that's something new to us. But clearly, a landscaper went in there to do pruning, and we have no permit to do that. So anything in terms of restoring that area or whatever, I think the property owner will be open to that, because certainly didn't know that was going to be done before I came in here for a hearing tonight. So it's a surprise to me, and it's
pretty
a surprise
obvious,
to the
too.
engineer. So,
Around the house.
so hopefully we can talk about that, and hopefully just get an agreement on how to amend that situation.
So what are we looking to do with this one? As far as that unpermitted cutting goes, is it something we can just leave?
So here are a couple of photos. You can see these pine trees. There are oaks in there as well. Pretty level cut at around 6 feet. Some places lower. Same on the other side. Oaks, pines, everything cut flat. Some of them were up to 3-4 inches diameter. Some larger, but it definitely was. I think it might be best to talk about during the COC. They have a COC later for the other project, but it certainly, we can also add it as a special condition on this if it's issued tonight that no topping has been approved, but maybe addressing the enforcement of it in the COC hearing.
Yeah, I mean, I would say either that or as a separate enforcement hearing
Yeah.
completely. So it would be more appropriate, but I definitely agree. You should definitely add a special condition that says no Vista pruning without any further, without prior
But the
approval.
landscapers did not make my day.
All right, anything else, Brittany?
Yeah, for the project that's proposed, my only question is that you're proposing 466 square feet or 508 feet of permanent or temporary impacts. You've identified some random spots to be filled in. Do we have an estimate of the area of those bare areas? So what are we able to replant? Is it anywhere close to the impact?
Well, I think we have a calculation for the first part on the slope of the dune where we're going to be,
Yeah, that says 42 square feet.
Correct. And within the 3 open areas, Actually, it looks like it's more like that. It's like more like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's at least 5 areas of open sand that we can easily replant. But if I recall, being out in the field, is that if the ocean's at my back and we're coming up to the right, there's actually almost looks like an old pathway that sort of went off like a little spur. And there's area there to plant. So we have plenty of places to plant to do extra mitigation work, if that's what the commission wants. And the dominant species out there in the dune is American beach grass, which is fairly easy to put in, planting with plugs in it. I mean, all the jobs I've done with American beach grass, I've never seen it not take. It's as long as it's got the right sandy conditions, and that's what we have here. So we will do whatever mitigation that the commission needs.
Okay, so we don't have a value on that, but the only other thing that I would ask or recommend when you're putting the Moby mat, is there a need to level off the surface? When you remove these wooden planks, do you expect there to be huge divots that you need to regrade? Otherwise, if you put the Moby mat over the bearberry as it is right now, it's going to be there the whole season, but you wouldn't be excavating it. Are you proposing to remove everything within the 3.25 feet wide, or are you just placing the Moby mat right on the beach?
I'll address that.
Yeah.
I think you have to take out that additional width because it's 2 2x8 boards, and then you've got a 3 1/4 foot wide Moby mat.
Okay.
I think for that to be effective is by hand just cut back to that 3 1/4 feet. Grade out a little bit just to flatten it out a little bit because there's going to be some divots in there, and then lay the Moby mat in and stake the Moby mat in beyond that. I think laying it over what's there right now would probably defeat the purpose of maybe providing a better better access for the Fairbanks.
Okay, just another,
Are you all set, Brittany?
yeah, I just have one about the Moby mat. It's going to be taken up in the off-season, I think you said. So would that be like in October or something, and then put down in
Right, I think
June or something?
Yeah, I think I mentioned in the application was that we would be probably putting the Moby mat back in around June 1st or whatever.
Okay.
And then leaving it in place till like maybe towards the end of October, and then taking it out. So it'll be out for the winter storm season, so that, and so forth, and then, it's very simple, we just roll it back out again.
Yeah.
So.
So speaking of winter storms also, I would hope water doesn't come up that high, but is it secured well enough so that it doesn't become like a floating piece of debris? I mean, it's sections, right?
It's it can be in varying length sections, but it is pinned with 18-inch basically staples, more or
Yep.
less.
Uh-huh.
So to prevent any flotation, it gets put down and basically stretched.
Okay.
And then anchored into the ground. So it is fixed, and it's fixed not just at the beginning and the end, but all along
yeah.
along the side too.
Okay, thanks.
Ellie?
Yeah, it is such beautiful landscape, and I just want to understand that it looks like you calculated how much fill you will need to level it off. I think it's like a truckload of sand. You said 10 cubic yards. Somehow you came up with that calculation of the sand needed to level it off. I just want to know how you plan on doing that. Is that hand work? You're not bringing in anything impactful. I mean, it's how are you going to?
No, this would all be handwork.
All handwork.
It'd be. I mean, it's only 3 1/4 feet wide, so
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know that you could even get a machine down there with really
Exactly.
disturbing beyond that.
Yeah.
So it would just be a matter of cutting, staking, cutting the width of the mat,
Yep.
pulling it out by hand, wheelbarrowing it out,
Good wheelbarrow.
and
Good.
then and then just bringing a little bit of sand in just to level it out and kind of make the
Good.
Moby mat flat. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
And the same with the boardwalk as well. You know, I think that would all be, you know, that could all be done by hand as well. It's not a particularly big structure. It's pretty small.
Ed,
Jack?
you'd be doing that every year, some at least.
Moby mat?
No, excavating or smoothing out, being
I
sure.
think a little bit, yeah, maybe,
So,
you know,
yeah, and
if you had a big storm and you had to replace a little bit, maybe, but probably more likely just raking out, flattening, and then putting it back in.
so that would be a condition to do that continuously by hand and so forth.
Yeah, handwork only.
Yeah.
I have one more question. Where the boardwalk's going in, do you need to remove this vegetation, or are you building the boardwalk right on top?
I think we can leave it right, I mean, obviously where the post
For
holes
there's
would
like this
go,
big woody shrub here, I know you probably have to take out, but the
that,
rest,
between the boardwalk and what's existing, there'll be some vegetation removed, but we can account for that in whatever mitigation that you, you know, require, whether it's 2 to 1 or whatever. But the intent is, to, you know, of the boardwalk is to keep the vegetation.
okay, great, thank you.
Anybody else? Anybody in the audience on this one? Anybody on Zoom have any comments or questions on this site? If not, would somebody like to make a motion to approve the project with special conditions, including the NHESP time of year restrictions and other comments from them? The Moby mats would be seasonally deployed. Are you missing anything? Okay, would somebody like to make that motion?
So moved.
Second.
Was that Paul? Or Jack?
No, Paul.
Paul. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries unanimously.
Thank you.
Our next order of business is a continued request for certificate of compliance for SE 83-2161 Paul Butler for 164 Driftwood Lane. And I think Jack, is this one, right? Jack, you are not part of the quorum for this coming.
Yep.
Yes.
Who wants to start?
Do you want to go ahead?
Yep. Good evening, Mr. Chairman. Again, for the record, my name is Kieran Healy. I'm a land surveyor with the BSC Group. After our last meeting, I went out to the site in a rainstorm to see where the water was coming from that created the runoff. It looks like it's coming down through the middle of the lawn. There are two specific areas. So what we have planned to do is, if the commission is agreeable, is to put in two trench drains right at the edge of those two low spots to capture the water, and then to remove all of the mulch completely and to remove the filter fabric completely, and then plant it with a wildflower mix in that area. There are some higher trees in the area, so we're not sure how much will grow in the entire area, but it should stabilize the soil, specifically around the areas where the runoff is right now. And that is our plan to go forward, and we just want to be sure that the commission was okay with that before we went to the expense of doing it. So again, that's the removal of all the mulch and the filter fabric, putting in stone at the edge of the lawn where the issues are, and then planting with wildflowers.
And so the trench drain would be like right on the lawn side of the planting bed?
Correct. It would be, yeah, right where the interface between the lawn and the planting blade is.
With the infiltration
Yep.
under the lawn?
Well, with a trench drain, basically, you're not creating a large structure. You're creating kind of a stone box that runs parallel for a little bit. And,
Okay.
But there are two specific areas. I mean, just the way the dips are out there, the way the ground is, that there are two specific areas. So we're not planning to run it the entire length,
Yeah,
just
that.
in the areas where the lawn is naturally going to right now.
Okay, any questions? I'm sorry, did you want to do anything first, Brittany, or
No, that sounds good.
Very good. Anybody from the board have any questions?
No questions.
So everybody agreed? You think that's a good move, good way forward? We'll do that and then come back for the sign off on the COC once you've done your inspection? Or do you not?
No, that's just, I guess, how long, I mean, when do they want to put that in?
I would say immediately, if not sooner, is their plan. So once we get our permission tonight, it'll be very quick.
Okay, and do you need any guarantee? Do you want to see? Do you want to give it a growing season first, or?
Thinking, do you want to continue to the fall or end?
I think it's with this. I think it's always wise to at least get a growing season in before we sign off on something.
If I could, Mr. Chairman, the only growing out there are the wildflowers. So that we're not planting any shrubs or bushes or anything like that. So the wildflowers will take.
Yeah, but we're
I've never known them not to take.
Right? But we're addressing erosion.
I mean, that's the whole. I mean, isn't that the whole point behind planting the wildflowers is to address the erosion? But until we know the wildflowers are established, right?
I'm hoping that the stone, our plan is that the stone is going to address the erosion. The wildflowers are just to cover the ground that we're going to expose when we remove the mulch.
Are they selling the property? They need the COC.
There is money involved, yes. In that the builder built the property and the owner now owns the property and he wants to get the money that's in escrow out and he wants to finalize and get out.
Yeah, if I may, it seems like if my recollection of the discussion at the last meeting, that the property owner has almost gone above and beyond our requests, because one of the big issues had to do with that material underneath the mulch. And they're proposing now removing the mulch.
Removing the mulch and
planting. And I guess I'd have to go back in my notes in terms of the drain. So it seems to me that all our requests were met. And so maybe it has to be delayed, but I certainly would be in favor of voting to accept this as presented.
Yeah, I mean, just usually when we there's an issue with a certificate of compliance, we have them implement a solution and wait until we see that the solution has succeeded.
Yeah, I mean, I understand that, but I mean, if time is of the essence in terms of the area.
I don't know. We've always
Waiting for some wildflowers to grow, I don't know.
I have a question.
Yes.
Yeah, I have a question just on procedure, and forgive me on asking this, but in the back note somewhere, in the Wetlands Protection Act document, the modification that we asked for obviously didn't require the applicant to require a new notice of intent, correct? Correct. But does anyone else need to see this from any other?
I don't know what you mean.
Is there, to make sure that we're in
Implement a drain. Does he need any other permits? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
You don't have to do that.
Nobody else, okay.
No, we're. I mean, we're really just here to address the compliance with the original permit. So.
Yeah, okay.
Well, I mean, I have to admit that I have not been out to see this site, so I'm only looking based on what I've seen in photos and what I'm hearing from everybody else. So I would defer to the rest of the board who have been out there and seen it, because they might get a better understanding. I think we should at least, assuming they want to get things done quickly, I would imagine as soon as we say, yes, go ahead and do it, that they're probably going to go ahead and do it and get that work proceeded and finished and completed as quickly as possible. So while I think it's always best to wait, but based on what everybody else has been saying, I would say maybe if we waited and at least gave it a little bit to make sure that there are things proceeding, so maybe even June, even early June. Does that seem like a reasonable compromise there?
I think that's a fair compromise.
And if I could, Mr. Chairman, that Brittany has brought up a lot of photographs there. There are only two areas where the washout is happening. So as you can see, one in the distance and one close by, but just there's one area right there. So as soon as we remove the mulch from that area, it's going to, the sand in the ground isn't going to move like the mulch is moving, because the mulch just slides right over the filter fabric. So you're not going to have the type of washout with sand that you would as you have with this mulch right now. So I don't expect that we will see anything washing out over the stone. But, if we could just continue it for a month to get everything in the ground, and then maybe I'll come back and I talk to you in a month's time, see how everything went.
I'd really rather not see this again, other than at least once. I mean, if that's,
What do you mean?
whether or not somebody gets their money out of escrow today or 3 months from now is not my concern, but I'll defer to the rest of the board.
Well, I think, the escrow thing is not even, was not a factor in my thinking. It's just that from being out there, seeing it and understanding, doing enough kind of yard work and landscaping to know as soon as you put mulch on top of that fabric and water comes along, the mulch floats off. And so I think that once it's, the fabric is removed, the mulch is removed, there'll be more penetration into the ground, absorption into the ground by the rainwater. There's things done as far as the runoff is concerned. I think you said, Karen said something about stones would also kind of deflect some of the runoff that does naturally exist. I think we should just go ahead and approve the project, and I trust that the work will be done. There's a lot of effort that went into that already, and then, it doesn't have to be, kind of stretched out any longer in my mind.
Well, I mean, I'm not ready to sign off on it tonight, if that's what you're asking. But you're saying come back in a month. Is that what you're asking, or are you saying you want us to sign off on it?
No, obviously, tonight I came forward with the idea. I want to be sure that the commission is happy with that idea. If I could come back in a month to get a sign off, if the board was agreeable, 100% yes.
I think if we could make that 2 months, I just don't think we'd see a lot of growth in the wildflower mix in a month, but certainly in 2 or 3. I don't think we need to wait till the fall.
That's a good compromise.
2 months.
That's fine. And Mr. Chairman, I did not bring anything up about the escrow. I was asked a question, and then I explained the escrow. I would never put escrow in front of this board, ever.
I know you didn't, but it came up, so.
It came up, but
It's my fault.
I was asked a question,
No, it's not your fault.
and I try not to lie to this board. Everybody else, yes, but not this board.
We'll see you in 2 months.
See you in 2 months. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Kieran. Try and put you back to back next time. Sorry.
And I still saw that creeping juniper in the other plan there
Vote
too,
on
so.
that.
Hmm?
Don't you didn't vote?
We need a motion.
Do we need a motion for that?
Continue the
Somebody
COC.
want to make a motion to continue this for 2 months? Would be what date?
June 5th.
June 5th?
So moved.
June 5th. Thank you. A second?
Second.
Okay. What did you write down?
Go.
Hmm?
Bradford and Paul.
Yeah.
Okay.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries unanimously. Next order is another request for certificate of compliance for SE 83-2350, Peter Fairbanks, 41 Uncle Roberts Road, a partial COC request.
This is a partial COC request because the plantings have not been in for 3 years, so it's just for the construction of the house and associated things. So as we discussed earlier, there is some unpermitted topping of approximately 20 to 35 trees. I didn't count them. I would recommend either issuing with ongoing conditions and considering a fine, along with no additional vista pruning or whatever variation the board would like. I don't have any issues with the construction. It seems to have all been done according to the approved plan. I don't really know what I already looked at the photos.
Anybody?
Yeah, if I may, I think that a fine is appropriate for the vista pruning, to whatever is stipulated in the regulations. I think it's $300 a day, but I would recommend a $300 fine and then a commitment not to do that anymore.
Okay, so fine and continuing condition.
I was also thinking that maybe we should be invited to hold our meetings out of that property from now on.
Maybe the one on July 4th?
I don't think we'll fit on that boardwalk.
Oh, man.
All right, any other discussion among the board?
We'll wait till the pool's open.
All good with that? Brittany, you good with that? All right, do I have a motion to issue with the COC, the partial COC, along with the motion for a fine and a continued condition that there will be no vista pruning without prior approval from the Conservation Commission?
So moved.
Is there a second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried unanimously. Who seconded that? Was that
Jack.
Jack?
Thank you.
Thank you. That was Robert's. Oh, that's why we have that.
And we
Oh,
already
I
issued
sent it.
one.
I sent it down there.
Yeah, Paul, from your pile for Uncle Roberts, there should be a second signature page on the top for the COC. If you could send it back the other way.
Oh, yeah.
So if you just sign it and then send it back
And
this
pass
way,
it back.
that would be good. Thank you. Next order of business, another request for certificate of compliance for SE 83-2244, 114 Upper County LLC for 160 Wood Road.
Hello.
Hey,
State your name for the.
my name is Craig Witten.
Yeah.
I'm the owner of 160 Wood Road.
So this property.
Where
Sorry,
was
hold
the
on
other?
1 second.
It's underneath this piece.
Oh, okay.
Oh, where you going there?
You requested a COC for a project
This is-
that was for expansion of the deck.
Yeah, you're right.
And some vegetation work in the back. There were mitigation plantings required that we did not find on site. And there was also appeared to be an expansion of the driveway. It was a gravel driveway within the 50-foot buffer that wasn't on the original plan. Were you aware of the mitigation plantings? Did those ever go in?
I was, this was 4 years ago. In 2021, we did purchase those plants, and I assume, I can't remember that far back, but we did plant those plants. Now, we weren't allowed to maintain the plants. We weren't allowed to put irrigation or do anything back there. They were told to just plant it and leave it be. I'm guessing that the plants have passed away over the years, since it's been 4 years and unmaintained. I have no problem going and purchasing new plants and planting them again to appease the board. I don't have an issue with that. I am a landscaper, so it's pretty easy. But if that's what the board wishes. But, in 2021, we did appease by that, but it has been a while.
Okay. hopefully you didn't get bad information, but we do want people to care for their mitigation plans with temporary irrigation and that type of thing to ensure their survival. So sorry if you got the wrong message, but I would like to see those mitigation plans go in, and perhaps a couple of more for the driveway expansion within the 50. I understand the whole house is in the 50. It's just how it was built. And I understand you're doing this because you want to do a septic upgrade, right? And so,
The septic has failed
and where is that?
in the front yard.
Okay.
And the plans have all been submitted, and Barry from Health keeps calling to find out when it's going to happen. So that's why we need this certificate of compliance.
Is it a whole new septic?
It is a whole new septic system.
Okay. You can,
So the field and everything is going out front?
Everything is out front.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, I can,
It's already been designed. I already have an installer. I've already paid him. We're just waiting, unfortunately, for this. But I can certainly go and pick up I can order plants tomorrow morning and have them in by middle of next week. It's,
yeah, you shouldn't have to wait for the septic, since you're putting,
they're asking, they're saying that they need this to move forward.
okay.
They need this to move forward?
Yes, that's what I was told.
I can look at that here, but
I don't know why they would, I don't know why they would care what, to be honest with you, but,
I'm happy to prove your septic upgrade.
Thank you.
yeah.
And
I-
then you do
Wouldn't mind
this.
talking to Barry, that'd be great. So
Okay.
get this thing moving.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
think there'd
I've
be
been
any
talking to-
reason why.
Darren Meyer?
Well, Darren's the engineer.
Yeah.
And he's the one who designed it, and there's a whole plan already for it that's been submitted to the health department. So Barry has all that information, but I was told that we needed this in order to actually tell my contractor to go ahead and do it, even though he's been paid.
Okay.
The contractor is Chasen Merchant. He's going to do the work.
What did I'm sorry. Okay, I can approve your septic plan, and then you can put the plants in to satisfy this.
Great. I'll put the plants in next week.
Okay.
I can put in, run irrigation out to those to keep
yeah,
them watered, because I was told
temporary
that I
above
couldn't.
Above ground?
Yeah,
So
temporary.
4 years ago, I was told, or 4 or 5 years ago, I was told I could not do that. So
I don't know
can
who-
do that.
Yeah,
I don't know who
why
would have
she
told you
would've-
that, but
So as long as it's above ground, it's allowed,
Yeah, and it's temporary. You can have
Temporary.
it for up to 3 seasons. but
just
two
to get
should
it
be
through the
good.
hot months.
Yeah.
Yep, absolutely. We'll do it.
and no mulch except underneath the.
No mulch.
Okay,
Yeah,
I just
no
wanted
mulch.
just wanted to make sure. We're so close, we don't want this thing coming back and blowing up in our face.
So I'll look in the morning for that. I don't think it's been submitted through the permit platform yet online.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, no, I believe it has been submitted. Darren submitted it to Barry in Health, and then Barry called me as of, 2 weeks ago, to ask me where we were. And I said, well, we had to get this in order to do that per what everyone has told me to do.
Okay.
And this was
Get
what
it.
was holding up his decision to finally approve everything.
We'll get it figured out.
That'd be great. I appreciate that.
Oh, by all means,
But so for the COC, for the
wanna-
plans to establish, we should continue this to the fall, right?
that's what I would like to see.
Happy to sign off on any.
Yeah, so what we'll do is we'll continue this. You want to continue it, or, yeah, we have to continue it. We'll continue this, put the plants in as quickly as you can, within reason. Get your above-ground temporary irrigation in, and hope for a nice, somewhat decent summer and get you all the way through to the fall.
Well, they're
And then-
nice-sized plants, so they should be fine, and the
And then
irrigation
come
will
back.
keep it wet, so.
You want to come back at the end of September?
Sure.
That good?
And he will need to refile online. This one's from over a year ago, I think, and it hasn't hit me yet. So I'll email Darren.
Okay.
So a date for this would be, it would be, well, why don't you come back and file it by the, do you want to file it by the 25th is fine, so we can hear it on the 2nd, right? October 2nd? That makes sense?
Whatever you want,
Well,
yeah.
what, we're just going to continue it, right? Or
Well, yeah, I'm sorry, we're continuing this, yeah, so we'll continue this to October 2nd. And at which point, assuming everything went in, everything is growing, we'll be able to sign off on it then.
You want me to take a picture of it when I'm done and bring it to you? Or would that be
Just
helpful for
call
your?
Brittany and she'll come out and take a look.
Yeah, you
I'll
can
give you a call when
email-
we're done
just-
planting.
Yeah,
So go out
email
and
when
take
the
a peek.
plants are in, and then I'll come take a look later when they're
That's fine.
in this fall
Yep.
to look at them.
They'll be in.
Great.
Okay, so do I have a motion to continue this to October 2nd?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries unanimously. See you on the 2nd of October.
Sounds great.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
If you want to make any plant substitutions, email me based on availability.
No, I think the plants are nice.
Okay.
They'll be fine. Yeah. Just low bush blueberry and some rhodies. It'll be good. All right.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, next order of business is enforcement matter for Susan and Robert Lynn, 57 Pheasant Cove Circle, cutting and/or removal of vegetation within the velocity flood zone, a bordering vegetative wetland, and its buffer zone. Brittany?
Good evening, everyone.
Hi. Are you the homeowner?
Pardon me?
Are you the homeowner?
I am.
Nice to meet you. Lynn?
Susan.
Susan, sorry. Last name
Yes.
is Lynn.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm not an engineer. I'm not a landscaper. I'm just a regular person.
So you received this note in the mail because I was on the street last week,
Right.
and saw that there had been some cutting on the coastal bank within the buffer zone to the salt marsh, and I just saw this from the road. So everything has been brought down to the ground. So I sent a draft enforcement order just requiring your presence to talk about it at this hearing. Usually when there's clearing in the buffer zone so close to the salt marsh, we require a restoration plan. Looks like all the stumps, I haven't gone any closer, but it looks like all the stumps remain. I don't know what was there before. Some shrubs, they might
Couple
resprout.
of pictures, but they're not great.
Okay,
but
yeah, I got a
I
Google
just
Street View. There's some,
happened
there's
to
a
have
person, they're kind of tall.
There's one tree there.
You kept it, yeah.
So I'm here to throw myself on the sword. This was a communication issue. I know I'm on TV, so I don't want to say a lot of personal information that's available to the public. I have a 98-year-old mother living there. The landscapers are working next door. She's very concerned about the Phragmite. There was a discussion that took place regarding dealing with that. I think it was a communication issue. We've been there for 20 years. We've never had an issue. So I'm here to be part of the solution.
Okay. So usually when something like this happens, we do require that it be replanted.
Okay. I think my observation is that it wasn't cleared, but it was cut more than should have ever been the case.
Yeah. And
I can put it that way.
I only saw from the street, so I know everything up here. Do you know how far down? I'll have to probably arrange a site visit with you to get a better idea of
Sorry, what was the question?
I haven't been able to get a good idea of the extent of what's gone on, so I'll probably have to arrange a site visit with
Sure.
you. But all the roots do appear to remain. I just am not sure about the survival of any of those. So at least interplanting with shrubs at this point, but
I spoke to Joe. As soon as I got that, I came to the town hall. I spoke to Joe. I asked for information about who you recommend can remediate the area. I don't think they call them remediation, but I'm sorry, I don't know the terms. But I did get information from Joe about who you recommend. Actually, you don't recommend, but a list of potential entities who will assist in a way that you have found positive in past events, if I can put it that way, And I also got a list of the plantings that are native to the area.
Okay.
I
So
don't know
what I would suggest, before you go hiring people to do any planting or anything else, I would suggest you meet with Brittany on site
Okay.
and let her take a look to see exactly
So appreciate that.
what's been, what has been cut and the status of the cut area. And then she'll have a better idea of what to give you in terms of advice as to how much needs to plant. I mean, my greatest fear was that when I first saw that, was like, oh, was that, I didn't know if it was Japanese knotweed or if it was Phragmites or if it was some other, maybe it was arrowwood. Probably a good chance that it's arrowwood over there, maybe.
I don't know about Arrowwood, but I did about 3 years ago email, I don't know if it was Brittany or your predecessor, about the Phragmite, and you and I did have an exchange about it, because my mother's been just really concerned about it.
Yeah, it was me.
Okay. And I understand that you recognize that Phragmite is an issue and that you have like 4 or 5 different locations in the town that you're trying to address. This just isn't one of them. And I have had long conversations regarding the appropriate way to address a situation like this with all of my family members.
So
So I'm just sorry, just so I understand. So you or your mother asked a landscaper that was in the
already there
neighborhood
on another property.
cut something down,
Could you just
and
please,
they cut it.
and the discussion was about the Phragmite, and so I think, I can only surmise there was a miscommunication on either one side or both sides.
Do we know who the landscaper was?
Don't know.
Do perhaps have a Google Street View of a landscaper who was parked in front of the house?
This
but
is-
it may not be the one.
No, this is
I
my
mean,
grass guy that
I
comes
don't
in the
wanna-
summer. It was not
It
this
just was
person.
very
Not this
unfortunate.
person.
No.
On Google Street View.
Okay.
No.
So P&S Landscaping
It was not
involved
that
with it.
person. Poor no.
That was just
No.
poor dumb luck on the Google
Google
Yeah,
Google
bad
photography.
break for
So
P&S
But I
Landscaping.
think either way that issuance of an enforcement order depending on the severity of the area for restoration planting and a combination of allowing it to regrow with planting at this point due in the fall,
yeah. So
monitoring.
you want to? So what I think we should do is we'll wait for you to. Do you want us to sign it now, or do you want to write an enforcement order and then bring it back to us and we'll sign then? If you're going to be adding conditions, we should probably sign afterwards.
That's fine.
Okay.
You
So-
don't need her to come for that, right?
No, you would not need to come back for that. It's
I'm happy to come back
No,
as
you-
many
you don't need
times
to
as
worry
you would
about
like
that.
me to be here.
The first thing, just meet with Brittany out on site, and then
Okay.
she'll explain the rest of it. But what we're asking you to do at this point is meet with Brittany, decide between the two of you, you'll be able to determine exactly what needs to be replaced, if anything needs to be replaced, and the procedures for doing that. And so, what will happen then is Brittany will send what is called an enforcement order with conditions to you, and we will meet to sign and ratify that enforcement order.
Okay.
I've
But
already
you won't
sent
have
it to her. It just didn't have the special conditions attached because I figured we would talk about that.
Yeah, so you won't have to do any, you won't have to come back before the commission for that at that point. So
Thank you. Thank you for your,
And I understand you don't live on the Cape, right?
I don't.
Are you
I'll
gonna,
be here whenever you want me to be here.
are you around tomorrow?
I will be there whenever you want me to be there.
Okay.
So tomorrow is fine. You tell me what time and I will be there.
Okay, I will email you in the morning if that's okay.
Great. Thank you. Thank you all.
Just one question, if I may. It seems like, it's on a good path here, but was the mowing done on the owner's property? Was there any mowing off of the property at all?
I don't know yet.
Don't know yet. Okay.
Mowing.
So it looks like
Cutting or whatever it was.
everything visible on the bank has been cleared from the road. Everything you can see from the road
Yeah.
And it was up to like 10 from the Google Street View. There's a little person here, so it was like kind of about 8-10 feet high.
So it's that back corner that your cursor is
I
on
think it
now?
was across
I
the
just
length.
I have like pictures that I actually happen to, if I may. I mean, it's not comprehensive, but I just happened to take those pictures when I was here several weeks ago.
Yeah, it's hard to tell in the winter, but it looks like a mix of shrubs and Phragmites.
Get rid of that picture.
What?
Get rid of that picture.
I'm sorry. It's just for the plants. Yeah, it looks like a mix of Phragmites and some pretty big shrubs.
It's all looking like Phragmites and maybe some,
Brambles.
Some grapevine.
some sort of bramble.
Kind of stuff and ramble. I think that's a fair representation of what's
The good
there.
news there, that's going to be coming back
Yeah, with gusto.
Yeah.
in 4 weeks' time. We won't even be able to know that there was any cutting.
Well, that is fortunate.
So I mean, you may be lucky in that respect, but we'll see.
I haven't been thinking lucky, but I hope that's the case.
Well, always think lucky.
Hey, I like that thinking.
All right, so you understand. So, and Brittany will meet you tomorrow.
Yes.
I guess let's just.
And I plan to be part of the solution.
Are you free at 1?
1 is fine.
Okay, I'll be there at 1.
Thank you all very much. I'm sorry to take your time up with something that really should have.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
All right, we're moving on to other business. Approval of the meeting minutes for December 6th. Are we still?
Yep, no go. You can leave them. I'll grab them at the end. Oh, do you want those?
Do you want the pictures back?
I don't want them if you'd like them.
Yeah, we might as well keep them for the
Okay,
file.
I'll give
then.
you them back tomorrow. I'll just
Okay.
make a copy.
All right, good.
Thanks.
All right, so December 6th, I am tabling to the 16th.
Dave has to be here?
Yeah.
And how about March 20th? I was here.
That should be good.
Did everybody read that one?
Yeah.
It wasn't.
Somebody like to make a motion to approve the minutes of March 20th, 2025?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries unanimously. All right, next order of business is just an announcement saying that the Yarmouth Annual Community Cleanup Day will be Saturday, April 12th, 2025. They start at, what is
8
it?
a.m.
8 a.m., right? Here at the town hall to get your assignment, if you so choose to participate. Is there anybody else have any other business?
Nope.
That I have not anticipated.
I just will have an announcement that the select board has gathered all the department heads this week to discuss fees on a town level scale. So at our next meeting, we're bringing back the fee conversation that we had in 2022.
Oh, boy.
Which we had approved, but community development had chosen to delay on those to take a holistic department-wide approach. That has yet to happen. So we're just going to reassess to make sure the fees that we propose are still relevant. With inflation the way it has been going, we might be proposing some additional increases with those fees. That is all.
All right, sounds good.
Can't wait.
Paul's favorite topic.
Anything else? Can you send out whatever we approved the last time?
Yeah, I'll send some info.
What was the email you sent out right before the meeting about a hazard mitigation?
Yeah, so next week on the 9th, the town's redoing the hazard mitigation plan, and there is a public meeting on the 9th at 5:30 in the town hall hearing room to discuss how we can help reduce impacts from natural hazards in the town. If you'd like to attend to contribute to that plan, which we've been working on with some staff and some of the town folks in the recent past.
Okay.
There was a meeting that I attended with, I think David was there, the MUC meeting.
Yeah, so
Okay, is that group reconvening? I think it's in April?
yes, our next open space team, MUC land use team for the Mattakese utilization is on April 15th. I think at this point, next week, we'll have had all of the other teams had their second meeting. So I'll make sure everybody from the open space MUC team has a chance to review those, because our second meeting will kind of be reviewing those, making comments about their open space components.
What time is the meeting on the 15th?
It's at 5, like the last one.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, anybody else? If there's nothing else, then would somebody like to make a motion to adjourn?
I will.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries unanimous. We stand adjourned at 6:46 PM.